Sandra, as a lady, please, why don't we start with yourself?
Thank you so much, Georgi, and thank you also to my fellow colleagues here. Can I share the screen, or do you want just us to talk without any kind of support?
Sandra, we are passing you the presenter rights. They're already traveling towards you.
Okay, it will arrive now. Now it's here. Thank you.
Oh, Ralph, sorry. I now see that you're online. Sorry. It's, yeah, great having you.
So do you see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we are going to talk about DTx today. DTx, basically, we can summarize it as a kind of apps or tools addressed to treat medical or psychological conditions. The most relevant part, in my view, or the most relevant feature of DTx is that they need to show efficacy and safety before being approved by the regulatory bodies. This means that they need to show or demonstrate value before they are used. And the aim is that they will be prescribed by physicians to enhance or to replace the current treatments that patients are having. So basically, we can say that this kind of DTx innovation, this kind of innovation is addressed basically to treat chronic conditions, I would say, like diabetes, obesity, COPD, also some psychiatric conditions, with the aim of boosting the health outcomes that patients are delivering. How do they do that? In different ways, but it could be, for instance, by optimizing drug doses. It can also help in engaging people through technology. So this can be improving the treatment adherence. They can provide also patient support or guided therapy. And above all of this kind of tools or apps are managing information, are managing data. So they do also collect, analyze, and apply real-world evidence or product performance data. So when we talk about these DTx solutions, oh, I cannot move now. So when we talk about DTx, this is for sure bringing innovation to the pharma and healthcare industry. In our view, there are some ingredients to make this innovation really impactful. The first one is to focus in the transformation, in the innovation. This means to focus in the goals that you are planning to achieve, not in the technology. Technology is just the way that you are going to use to lead this change within the way that you are approaching a certain issue. Any of these innovation activities that you are planning to do should be supported by a business model. Otherwise, we believe it's not going to be a long-lasting solution. And then, of course, it requires that everybody who is involved in this, in using this technology or in applying this technology, will require also some additional competencies beyond what we are usually having nowadays. If we talk about the company where I'm working with in TASI, we are a machine learning solutions company. In our company, we work with data, but we believe that data is not enough. So in our continuous learning technology, we don't learn only from data, we learn also from doctors, caregivers, patients. I mean, everybody who is involved in the care chain is providing or is able to provide some information, valuable information to the applications, that the apps or the tools that we are implementing. And fundamental, especially in this environment, is that data privacy is fully secured, is fully ensured there. Jointly with this, also, it's a feature of the solutions that we are providing, and that's why we believe it's fundamental when implementing DTx, is that the information that the tools and their apps are gathering should be constantly updated. We have learned with COVID that from one day to another, the situation can dramatically change. So we cannot be analyzing predictions or solutions that are not updated with the most recent information. This information should be understandable across everybody who is using these tools. From patients to doctors to companies that are providing the service. I mean, everybody should understand what kind of information is uploaded, how do we treat the information, which is the impact of this information within the model, and how this influences the outcome and the predictions that it is providing. And of course, it should be very easy to use. Otherwise, it will make no sense for most of the people that are targeting these kind of solutions, that are not going to use it at all. And we want this to be meaningful and to be useful. And just to conclude and to leave more space to the discussion, I just wanted to mention, as to give you some examples of the kind of activities that DTx can provide, and also not only DTx precisely, but all the ecosystem that should be created for DTx. I'm providing you here with some examples of the R&D activities that at ACI we are performing with the European Union community. The aim of this project is the goal of this project is to create the technology for the future, but as you will see, the technology is already here. This is some other technological companies working together to deliver some innovation here, and which will be, once the project will finalize, will be publicly available, open source, so everybody can benefit from it. And here you have different projects intended to create digital twinings, for instance, for predictive maintenance. It can be also providing solutions to diagnose certain disease, but also to predict the evolution of the disease, and there the applications for patients, doctors, industries is amazing. We have also data integration projects, because data integration is going to be fundamental to make sure that DTx is properly working. Or we can have also continuous monitoring through different sensors and applications, wearable devices that are supporting these kind of activities. I hope you find this interesting and give you some impactful information about what we can provide. And that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Sandra, thank you. Thank you so much. Let's keep the ball rolling. Luca, would you like to be the next one? So we have more time for discussion at the end.
Yep, I don't have any presentation myself. I think was Ralf who was another presentation, but what I can share, that I'm Luca Caruso, part of the one of the founder of Digital Therapeutics Club, and the idea is to create a community where we help people to train people to find and develop their abilities in digital therapeutics. So from the beginning to really go to market and advise people and companies and help them to find talent. This is what my role is. Maybe we can give a bit of the trends. We can speak about the trends on digital therapeutics. When it comes to investment, we can see that there is like a huge CAGR, which is from here to 2027. It will go up at a speed of about 27%, and that we have investments going up to over 60 billions in the next 4 years. So this is meaning that there is a hype in digital therapeutics when it comes to investment, and not just from startups point of view, but also when it comes to companies, big corporations like pharmas find really interesting this type of solutions to integrate it within their pipeline. All right. So this, when it comes to therapeutical areas, we can see that digital therapeutics started with chronic condition to tackle chronic conditions. That could be diabetes, or it could be other solution related to hypertension and so on. So in cardiovascular, but also it's more and more interested in whatever is called mental health. So there is a big, let's say, trend, and everybody is moving. So this is an area which is, I would call it red ocean so far, because it has so many solutions that before used to be wellness solutions, like we call it Headspace, for example, that decided to pivot or to open, let's say, a business unit for that. space, and that's very interesting. Pain is another area, but definitely there are a lot of opportunity in the respiratory space as well. We could see also Kaya Health, that's from musculoskeletal pain, also moved into a collaboration with an Italian pharmaceutical company when it comes for a problem with lunges, so respiratory issues. So we see that are mainly the areas where companies move. As well, Sandra explained, there is a lot of, when it comes to technologies related to digital therapeutics, it's not just an apps which has enhanced to digital therapeutics, because it's clinically validated and also has a regulatory approved. But also, I would say that we are expanding from a solution to an app, from an app to a platform, which is also an interesting space where we want to say. And artificial intelligence, as well said, and data are extremely important, and Sandra explained it, the reasons why that technology is used more and more. So real world data is there, and we need to make the most of it. And also, I would say other areas like virtual reality, it's more and more present, and especially when it comes to mental health or recovery from certain illnesses, I would say. And yeah, basically this is in a nutshell what are I would say, the trends, what you can see in the digital therapeutic space. Maybe if that's enough. All right. Thanks, Georgi. I think we
Awesome.
can
This could
give the
serve us
word
well.
to
This
Ralf
could
or
serve us
Paolo.
well, yeah, as a basis for the discussion after that. But before that, Paolo, would you like to give your special flavor to the discussion?
Hey, thanks, Georgi. Very, very nice of you to welcome me, and thanks for the opportunity to be here. And hello to all the other cool panelists we have here and the followers. Yeah, let me give you a little bit of an overview, and let me see if I can share something. So I had a couple of slides very quickly just to support the discussion. Let me know if it's visible. But
Yes.
basically, a little about myself. I'm in Italian. I'm still partly based in Finland and partly in Italy, where I'm basically ramping up the new Digital Health Accelerator program. And I have let's say, an expertise in the last 10, 12 years in helping to develop startups and help to develop the ecosystems and investing in them. So I've been running a few programs with the Finnish Applied Research Institute, with the Aalto University. And then lately I had even one of my company that was developing and doing open innovation for corporates, especially in the digital health segment. And then I have a, experience in the past on corporates like General Electric and Nokia, and helping to startups work with corporates, as well as a little with IIB. So basically, what I've done now is that I'm ramping up a digital health accelerator focused on Italy. So we give small tickets like 110K, so pre-seed to the startups, and then for the follow-on we can do 300K, and the CDP, that is the Italian Innovation Fund, can do up to 2 million with their own fund that is working with us, and they can do much more going upward for few follow-ons. It's a 5-month one. We take typically up to 10 startups. We run basically the program online in 2 locations like Salerno, that is our headquarters, and Milano. And then one of the differentiating elements, apart from focusing in Italy, it's even that we work with corporates, and we have the opportunity for startups that there is a match with the Corporates Innovation Challenge to work together on POCs, on pilot projects. That normally helps the startups to validate and generate revenues a little faster. And so I'm doing this one together with the government, so the Fondo Nazionale Innovazione, let's say the Fondo Acceleratore. There's ramping up some 20 programs in different verticals. Healthware, that is the company I work on, that is focused on digital health consulting, full agency, and DTx development. And Accelerators, that is experience in the accelerators in the Nordic and Baltics. And we have a Zambon group, so with ZetaCube as one of the partners that help us to run the program. Petronio is expert in distributions and CF in ophthalmology, as well as a legal partner. And then we have a pool of other, let's say, partners that help us to, let's say, run the program and work together, connect with the ecosystem, like hospitals, research hospitals, patients, and doctors, organizations, and of course, plenty of investors. So I think that that was it. I will not disturb anymore anybody with some slides, but then we can have a little talk. And if any questions, please go ahead, even from the audience, and let me know, Georgi. Otherwise, I would say that, if I think about the topic you guys and the talking points that I was thinking about it, I'm wrapping up this program in Italy because of my frustration of seeing how Italy is a little behind compared to other markets like where I've been living in the last few years in the Nordics and Baltics. They basically have the same number of startups doing digital technologies and mobile gaming and, in general. And Italy is 10 times bigger than Finland to compare. So there is a huge opportunity, even because there are needs for efficiency, and there are lots of very talented people with great skills and great education. But Italy, let's say, started a little later, did not focus on this, so I see a lot of opportunities there. And in Finland, I saw that if I do this, benchmarking, they have 3 healthcare providers that are driving for efficiency because they are, private businesses. So there's been a huge drive for efficiency across time. So they leverage the 100% electronic health records to provide on top of it a lot of digital services and remote services. In Italy, well, that one started, but it's all fragmented. And I think that only COVID gave a huge boost to accept it because you had to. So I think that, there's a good start there and a lot of potential. And the other things that I think that are coming together is that supporting the trend and enabling things, even if, incrementally, so little by little, will be as well that the government has allocated more than 6 billion with a national plan for recovery, thanks to the government and the EU, and only a couple of billions has been allocated to funding innovation and startup and SMEs. So if I connect to what Luca was mentioning, I think that one of the chronic issues that it was in the Italian ecosystem, there was lack of funds. It's now basically solved. It remains the other issue to tackle that is like using this, deploying this money and using it efficiently. So that's why I hope I'm there to help a little on that side. And for instance, I'm working now with a Fondo Acceleratore that is deploying more than 200 millions in some 20 accelerators. So mine is just one of those. And so I'm thinking that this one will be a bit of a push downstream to create new digital health solutions and to deploy them, and as well as a pull toward the universities and research institute, because traditionally in Italy they've been focusing on publishing papers and getting funding from the government or grants and research consulting projects, but very little on licensing for startups. So I hope that we, together with the others, we will create a huge pool that will motivate them to adjust the way they work and put more focus on spinning off excellence to create digital technologies. And what else? I'm thinking that then
Paolo, we will definitely have a lot of space for discussion. Actually, I will definitely not put the label bothering you or boring you with the slides. That I found personally quite interesting. And right now I have like a bunch of questions already battling within my head. But
let's go ahead. I'll give you back the line then.
Let's keep this for the discussion. Yeah. But before we jump into a more conversational mode, Ralf, would you like to give us a short intro about yourself and also research to guidance?
Yes, sure. I would like to do that and use slides. Can you allow me to share that, please?
On the way. I think you're good to go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes, all good.
Cool. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Ralf-Gordon Jahns. I'm the founder and managing director of Research to Guidance. Research to Guidance is basically an analyst and consultancy company. We are focusing basically more than 12 years now on the digital health market globally. And I can say we have seen quite a lot, lots of failures, lots of successes. And today I was asked here to talk a bit about DTx. And what I would like to do is here to talk about it, but in regards to partnerships, because we think that partnerships are an essential part of making DTx solutions successful. We have all read the news. I've listed some of them here, where big pharma companies, they're working together with digital health companies, but there are many, many more. Yeah, and this is really one lever to drive innovation. So nobody can do it alone, or only a few can do it about partnerships. Yeah, but what we see that most of those partnerships, they fail. And that's also important, yeah, for any DTx solutions. Yeah, so that's why I want to concentrate on partnerships in my little discussion. And I also want to share a new platform which we have launched more as an intro, as a promo, but potentially also as a kind of, hey guys, please make use of it. Yeah, introduction, maybe also for Paolo, that might be of help for you. Yeah, to reach out to startups, not only in Italy. Okay, but to start with, building partnerships, we all know, yeah, there have been lots of tools of building, of identifying potential partners, of making the first contacts, of aligning with potential partners, and then setting up the first pilot, and then scaling it up. Yeah, so there have been lots of tools, and we all have been potentially participating in the one or the other solution or tool that is being used. Only a few of the companies, they have brought it to a level where they can say we have somehow automated this whole process of connecting with third-party solutions providers. It may be a DTx solution, it may be just a wellness solution. Some of them they have professionalized with different levels of integration, but there are those examples out there which have made it. But as I mentioned early on, most of the partnership, they fail. And we did a global survey and asked, okay, why do partnership fail between an insurance company or a pharma company and a digital health company? Yeah, and yeah, here are some of the major reasons for failure. As you can see, the second one is unrealistic and mismatched expectations. So both parties, they come together and they have both different ideas about the goals of the potential collaboration here. And you see that also on this this analysis here. This is also coming from this global survey which we conducted. So on the left side here, you see, okay, this is what the corporates, the pharma guys, the insurance, the medtech guys, the hospitals, they have in mind when they approach a digital health company. You see that, okay, access to new technology, new business potential, or digital transformation support. Yeah, for some of the accelerator programs, I can say that the majority of what has been achieved is mainly in cultural change. Yeah, so that's what's on the corporate side. And on the startup side, they approach the big guys and say, okay, we want funding, we want access to distribution channels. We want to increase our sales. Don't bother us, yeah, with us educating you about digital transformation. Yeah, so completely different expectations. Yeah, when the majority of those two partners are matching or are trying to match. The other reason is what we found mainly on the corporate side, that they put a lot of effort in the first phases of the partnership, which is shown on the upper side of this chart. So scouting, first talk. So we have seen lots of departments in pharma, health tech, and so on, scouting, doing work which they shouldn't do really. And what they don't put their resources in is basically the more important part, which is making the selected partnership a success and building a governance structure around the partnership which enables the partnership to succeed and to scale up. So that's what we often see within those partnerships, and one of the major reasons why those partnerships often fail. So they are basically 8 building blocks of partnerships, of a successful partnership. I don't want to go through all of them. I just want to highlight the matching process. So as I mentioned, sometimes there are big teams just scouting, talking to those people. But then when it comes to actually implementing the partners, they don't have a playbook. They don't have a technical platform in place in order to host the system and to connect with the system, and so on, so forth. And why I'm picking out this matching process is because we have launched a platform we call R2G Connect, and I want to do some kind of promotion for it. Only yesterday we basically relaunched it with a new set of features. What does the platform do? So it basically brings together briefing partners, mostly corporates, accelerators, investors. They are able to place a briefing, which is similar to a job offer. So they state what they are looking for. We are looking for a digital, for example, diabetes solution, or we are looking for a DTx solution. And we have this to offer. And then they place it on R2G Connect. And on R2G Connect, startups or digital health company, grown-ups, they could have a look, decide themselves, okay, this is something which we can offer, and then they apply. So that's what we call then a match. If the briefing partner then looks at the application and then decides, okay, this DTx company, it's a good match. And this platform facilitates it. And as I mentioned already, so we have relaunched it with a completely new set of features, allowing the digital health companies to browse the briefings, to apply to briefings easily. You can apply to as many briefings as you like. And on the briefing partner side, they can place as many briefings as they like. They can get recommendations from the platform, what is a good match for their program. They get the ability to invite startups. They can browse thousands of startups already in our database, which are willing to partner with a corporate, with an investor, or with an accelerator. So with that, I would like to leave it for our discussion. And Georgi, leave it up to you. Thanks very much.
Right. Good stuff. So in terms of setting the stage, I would suggest that we go in a little bit of a rapid fire kind of a approach and session. I will not be pointing out to specific people on the panelist side, trying to make it more interactive. Also, the audience, please make sure to shoot your messages, your question into the comment section, and we'll try to incorporate as best as we can into our conversation. Now, being left brainer myself, I always try to start with the top-down approach and with a broader perspective. So the broad topic here was cross-industry or cross-country DTx, Spurring cross-country DTx innovation. Which is the current elephant in the room, and how can we address it best? First come, first serve.
Well, having a electronic record system across countries, that would be pretty awesome to create one huge market, removing some of the local barriers between country to country.
All right, cool, great, thanks. And then if we move towards the individual, how can we empower the producer or better manufacturing practices? Is there anything we can do right now?
I mean, to build on what I've just mentioned, I think
we don't hear we don't hear you, Ralf. No.
it's unmuted.
Ah, now it's good. Not again. The risks of the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Please bear with us. We're doing our best, and then we are only humans. So if we didn't have some stuttering, it wouldn't be realistic. We won't be authentic.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So how can we help those DTx companies here to have successful business? I mean, there are many ways. I mean, the platform RNG Connect is one way of quickly and efficiently finding partners and actually to build the service offering or to get more access here to distribution channels within the country. So that's one objective here of RNG Connect. So main logic is here you won't be able here to do it alone. It's a very complex thing, and each country requires different features and integrations. So I think starting with this idea of finding the right partner within the country, it's a good starting point.
Awesome. By the way, we are hearing you, but it's a little bit quieter. But let's move. Actually, I have one quite an interesting question coming out straight of the audience. So, does the panel have views on how this can be achieved? Oh, sorry. Actually, there are a bunch of questions. All right. So, yeah, there is the first one exactly. So, how can you support people in terms of acquiring not just any knowledge, but the right knowledge for more impactful innovation, as it seems nowadays that they are slightly diverging and not necessarily reliable resources, especially for somebody new to the digital therapeutics area? Luca, that seems like the right one for you. I don't know, maybe it was meant for you.
Can you repeat it again, please?
Yeah. How do you ensure getting? Also, I'll try to shorten it down.
Yeah,
How do you ensure getting? Yeah. How do you ensure getting the appropriate knowledge that can get you started, get you on the right foot for setting DTx operation?
All right. You should definitely sign up with the Digital Therapeutics Club. Now, our role basically it's actually to, and one of our programs is to teach from zero to go to market. Every steps, we call them building blocks, and it's like really to understand where the digital therapeutics stands across the umbrella of digital health. Understand what the stakeholders, and this is important for me. We will focus maybe later with some other questions, but what are the stakeholders are not just patients, but everybody playing the role, and that's Ralf mentioned before. There will be pharma, there will be definitely doctors, there will be payers, and many more. To understand that, to understand the needs and the value proposition of it. So the really successful digital therapeutic should go through succeeding and having a very good value proposition for all the stakeholders, right? So and that's building that. So and that's transformed into the tools that the digital therapeutic should have, and from there on, like getting through the clinical validation of it, the regulatory approval, and also the go-to-market. And that's exactly what we teach during this program, basically. And this is one of the knowledge. It's online. There is a lot of scattered information. It's true. Some valuable, definitely, absolutely true. And one of them is Digital Therapeutics Alliance, where they have a very good basis for learning about it. If you want everything to be concentrated, then there are just a few programs globally, I would say, that provide that, and we are one of them. And I don't want to do advertisement because it's not my role here, but definitely it's reality. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Speaking of Digital Therapeutics Alliance, we actually had 2 participations today by Megan Coder. So yeah, they're doing a wonderful thing. Sandra, if we actually move, we assume that we already have the right knowledge. We are already starting or have started out. How do we leverage technology from your perspective? How do we leverage technology to really benefit the ultimate biggest pain point across the spectrum of all these stakeholders that Luca just mentioned?
So as I was introducing before, I think technology is not the primary objective of it should not be the primary objective. You should identify a pain point for whoever is your stakeholder, your customer, call it how you want. But technology will be like the secondary step. The main focus should be to address an issue, and you want to address this issue obviously with technology, but technology shouldn't be the main objective.
So you sound quite knowledgeable in the area. I'm speaking actually out of heart myself, being a technocrat and sometimes getting lost in my mind in terms of obsessing with the technology before and instead of actually the actual problem. So do you personally have any, let's say, I don't know, tips and tricks, or how do you approach the area so that you yourself ensure that you really put the patient or the ultimate beneficiary in front and ahead, prioritized before the tech itself?
So I think in a way, to me, I will not say it is easy, but I come from pharma industry. I'm not a technological person, but I work with techies. So this is also helping a lot, I would say. But if you are in an industry where you want to help patients, or your main objective is to benefit doctors in the process of within the process of the hospital, you just need to pay attention to their needs. And you need to find a process that has not been enhanced by technology, and there will be the point where you can provide some value.
Speaking of value, moving a little bit on the topic of funding and finance, which Paolo could probably give a little bit of a support here, gives your hand. I've heard by many entrepreneurs, so ourselves being a small manufacturer and speaking with a lot of the players across Europe, it seems there has been the notion that more often than not, perhaps despite having seemingly sufficient funding, for one reason or another, entrepreneurs and small manufacturers don't manage to actually get the right funding on board or the right timing. What's your feeling right now? Are there any trends, and is there any approach that you would recommend to entrepreneurs and potentially to the audience for getting the right funding at the right time?
I agree with you, actually. With exceptions or investors that are very familiar in hardware, let's say, and hardware specific solutions, most of the investors, they invest in digital. They are very afraid of anything that there is some hardware related. And so that one is a little of a barrier because, I see digital technologies at the borderline. In some cases, you do have some hardware, in some cases, not. So when it's pure digital, that's okay. But when there is including hardware, like, a sensor, a wearable, a machine, let's say a box for doing a test or something like that one, it does scares all the digital investors. And, I come from Finland where, 100%, 80% of the growth here has been with digital. So I think that you need a bit of education for investors, and you need some tools from the government and other institutions that help to de-risk a bit and make these investors a little more comfortable. And then maybe a little of latitude from other investors. So for instance, there are traditional investors that are investing in hardware that might consider maybe partnering with others to invest in digital technologies, and combine knowledge might help to understand better these trends. And the same one would be, the other borderline, the other overlap is a little with a bio and pharma, where tickets there are big, even bigger than hardware sometimes, and they're used to that one, and they're used to longer cycle. So maybe a bit of a commission between these type of investors might help to make the entrepreneurs happier, and get better funding with people that understand both sides of the solution that they can put together.
And from the subjective perspective of somebody running an accelerator, where do you see entrepreneurs are failing most? Which is the one area that results in most rejections from your experience?
Definitely when there is a hardware case, we look at deeper to understand where are they going. And I always have this thought, like, does it make sense that they do it, or there's something else around that they can leverage and rather focus on the digital part? But you do find a lot of cases that actually there is a reason why they're doing the hardware. And from that point of view, the next question I always have in mind is that, can I help them? Like, do I have a deep enough pocket? Well, the little pocket we have, but is it enough to help them to move to the next steps and help them to connect to investors who can bring them forward? Or is it a bit out of my reach, and therefore I wouldn't be helping him, even if I like the case and I think is a very potential one. So yeah, there is a bit, and I think that I've been seeing actually quite a lot of cases where there is a digital part and a hardware part. I love them. I think that coming maybe because of I started my post university in logistics and manufacturing. I do understand that one, and I do understand the value and how good you need to be to make it happen. So I support them, even if I need to pick the cases where we can really help them. Otherwise, I'm doing a disfavor to them.
Yeah. How you can be a value. Beautiful. Maybe back to Ralf. Hope that the audio is in the meantime better. Is there a silver lining case, because Paolo here mentioned partnerships? Is there a silver lining case for manufacturer? What's the perfect partnership that creates the biggest outcome, if there is such?
Yeah, I hope audio is better now. Yeah, okay, thanks. There's no silver line, there's no silver bullet, but in the segment of DTx, which is very hyped at the moment, I think what is important is to have a good investor story. Why I'm saying that, revenues from reimbursements might come only in many years. If we look at the countries, and the prerequisites within those countries, revenues from reimbursement might be something which you can't, as a company, count on in the next 1 or 2 years. So what does it mean in this area in this time of hyped DTx? So I guess having a good investor story to get some funding, it's mandatory these days. Then on the other hand, I think companies should build up a service offering, a business around partnerships, and having something to offer today which is relevant for pharma companies, for insurance companies, not waiting for the reimbursement to kick in. So that's another thing which we would recommend to companies to be able to offer something to the industry partners which have money at the moment. So those two things I would recommend.
Lovely. Thank you. The investor story, and generally, I guess it's not only about investors. It's always about storytelling, also involving and engaging the client, the customer, the patient, or the physician when you're dealing with a prescribed drug and prescribed medicine. Quite challenging and quite important. Seems so many companies are failing. on this end. And this actually serves as a very gradual again intro to maybe hearing from Luca. Is there like I know I'm going to be a little bit of a provocateur here, but let's hit the bullseye. Is there like anything that you would label as the one totally false assumption or totally false claim that has been going around in the DTx industry from your side and from your take?
Well,
Can we easily call bullshit? Sorry for my French, apologies to everybody here, but yeah, is there a way to easily say, okay, this is nonsense? Because at the end, the investors, clinicians, and patients all alike, they are interested in the ultimate, in the fundamental value add. So is there anything that you would deem as the no-go kind of claim or understanding?
I mean, definitely, okay, we need to differentiate whatever are solutions that are wellness from the PDTx, like prescription digital therapeutics. So this is a bit different. So many times company call this, I have a solution and my solution is DTx, but actually they haven't gone through all the steps, we might take 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, depends. So for me, one of the bullshit when people say, "Oh, I have a DTx," and then actually it's not. There were only, if I don't recall wrongly, by June there were 150 companies that there were around 150 that were rightly called DTx. So this is one of the things that we need to be very careful and about. So if you really want to build a DTx, there is an amount of investment that you need to put in, which is far higher than building an app that might have done some pilots and they call it clinically validated, which is far from it, So we really need to also share the fact that building a DTx is costly from the regulatory side, from the clinical validation side, and also from the go-to-market side. So there was I think if I'm not wrong, I recall it that when a DTx needs to be put into the market in the US, it would cost between 15 and 25 millions to really be pushing and thriving. So that's a lot of investment put in. So we need to have very clear the roadmap. So what also Ralf and Paolo said before, to then investor being appealing to that. And one of them is to start maybe with an approach of B2C, where to capture data, right? And that is important to capture data and build your database and so on, your world evidence data and so on, and then step into B2B, most likely, and then go to B2P to get reimbursement. Even though one of the things it's missing the framework, the reimbursement framework. It's missing in many places in Europe. Besides Germany, France is getting there. Some things in Belgium and a few more maybe in England. So let's say that investment is also a big false. And they say, I just built an app and I go to market. Yeah, but it's not as simple as it looks like. There is much more behind the scenes, I would say. If that could be this is my take so far.
Absolutely. And to everybody else, just feel free to jump in. It's a discussion. So if you have any strong feelings, just jump in straight in. But still, actually, Sandra, you've been working and potentially could actually bring also a bit of the pharma kind of a take on this based on your previous background and traction. So how does pharma define the stakeholder? And I mean, from a very practical kind of standpoint of your current challenges and endeavors, what's the, let's say, most productive way forward? Which is the storyline and also focus that works best in your experience?
You mean to bring a DTx into the market?
Yep.
I think it's not easy because at the end I think we should approach as Luca was mentioning. In a way, we cannot approach DTx as technology. We should approach DTx probably as in the past different treatment options were approached in terms of targeting, development, go-to-market strategy and so on. So as I mentioned before, there should be a medical need there, a process that needs to be improved to really create value through the technology in certain point. Otherwise, if you are going to create something that already exists or that is less costly but is still efficient, it will make no sense.
Can I jump in for
Sure.
my?
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
give some idea because I worked actually in a pharma company and I was involved as product owner in the development of DTx, and I was a small company from Spain, so it's also the perspective might be different in other realities, but we found difficulties into, first of all, is the buy-in from management. Because if you don't have a clear, and that's what Ralf showed before, and also in the partnerships, it's fine at the beginning, but if you don't have a clear strategy of go-to-market and to say, okay, what is the return of investment of a DTx, it's very difficult to get further investments and a green light from management. So this is an important fact, and also differences between how a corporate works versus a DTx or a startup in this case works. That's also a big challenge, like speed and agility of a startup or a scale up in this case, but to whatever was our way of working, very rigid and very hierarchical, then also was a difficult situation. So to sum up, strategy, very clear strategy of go-to-market and return of investment, and make sure you have a structure which is ready and possibly separated from the corporate to be running these type of products. That's for my take what I've done in the past.
And building on what you are mentioning, Luca, I would say that what Ralf was mentioning before about partnership is where it becomes fundamental, because I would say that pharma industry has the knowledge and the experience about the treatments, about the options, about the disease management, management of the stakeholders, but they don't have the technology, and they don't have the capabilities to create this technology. So that's why it's so important, the kind of work that Ralf is doing to connect these people and these different interests to make them cooperate and build up together.
Absolutely, I agree totally. Thanks, Sandra.
Also, I like the comment for, is there really a value in a digital solution to replace or support a therapeutic today? So how do you find out? Yeah, and we mentioned that earlier on. It takes a while in order to get this product out there in the market. So betting on the right therapeutic area, on the right use case, it's enormously important. Yeah, and how do you find out? Obviously, yeah, by truly understanding the different possibilities you have, choosing the right therapeutic area, for example, for a DTx, it's important. You can do a lot of things in oncology, but maybe if you look at the evidence, whether or not those digital tools work and do create a positive patient outcome, and there's really evidence that those things work, then maybe you're better off with quit smoking or losing weight, because there the evidence might be already there, and solutions have demonstrated that digital tools can support patients to lose weight or to quit smoking. Just making those two examples up to bring in this, what is it? This is kind of a radar which you need to scan the market before you actually decide which therapeutic area and which use case you want to support with your DTx solution. And that's so important. And the options are so, there are so many, and I think this exercise is super important before you actually start building up your story, which area you want to build a DTx company for.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. And then Paolo, maybe we haven't heard from you much since we are slowly approaching.
I was actually thinking about what to add on Ralf and the other inputs. Actually, Ralf was triggering to me the thinking now that, yeah, if I would have to suggest an entrepreneur what to focus on, I would first ask him, yeah, how much can you afford for how long you can afford to invest and prepare? Because if you have limited budget, if he's maybe a younger entrepreneur who doesn't have yet the backing, from earlier investors that supported him and saw success, then it's probably the low-hanging fruit might be exactly on the areas where Ralf was mentioning now, the kind of like simple cases. And then you build a success story there, and then you can move forward. If you are bolder, or you can tap on bigger funding and longer cycles, then I think you can go more to the deeper DTx and look into that direction. And because I think that after all, you need to bring to market something that there is a need. The solution needs to bring real value. So like Sandra was mentioning, and I think that you need to be able to have enough funding or support to do it, and to generate the revenue. And I think that from that point of view, maybe to link it back to where Ralf is at the moment, I think Germany, together with France, are probably one of the leading examples on how the government has brought down barriers with DIGA, for instance, to enable, even if it's the beginning of the process, it might be slow, it might not be perfect, but at least they move forward and try to allow paying for digital therapeutics, so digital solutions, equivalent to the pharmaceutical one, or the therapeutic one when you go for physiotherapy. So I think that's the right direction, and I think that different markets are very, very different stage, and they move at different speed at the moment. Nordics pretty ahead. Germany a bit more structured, but I would say well ahead of many others, and a huge market, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in Europe. So definitely a very juicy target in terms of go-to-market focus. So I think, yeah, it's an evolving situation, because these are changing. I wouldn't say daily, but I definitely seeing the next 10 years in evolution, and there will be countries that are leading and moving forward much faster and taking risks, and others that are a bit more conservative, so they don't want to change, and they will weigh the others or you to put pressure for them to move in that direction.
Awesome, lovely. Thank you so much. So if anybody wants to do really a one-sentence round-off, it's a good moment. Otherwise, we may need to round it off before moving to the next panel. So half a minute each. One big leitmotif of you.
Well, from my side, I think that great that we're here having such a panel, because I think that digital therapeutics is here to stay and to get bigger and bigger. So, it's same as pharma, 50, 100 years ago, and a number of other solutions there. So there is definitely an opportunity there. And then, we are at the very beginning still. There will be a bit of hype, a bit of consolidations, but then, if you look at the midterm cycles, there's going to be huge benefits in terms of being able to scale and reach a broader audience.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, DTx, it's a hype topic, so it's good to have something around a hype topic. So I think that creates a lot of awareness here for your company. So if you're smart, you can benefit from it, but you should still plan at least for the next 2-3 years here to have something else in your pocket, either big funds or another business model, in order to survive and to build up your company once the prerequisites in those countries are better and more favorable for reimbursing DTx.
That was an optimistic statement. Luca, would you like to jump in?
Well, I think we are still, as you said, in the infancy of DTx.
Yeah.
So to there are many entrepreneurs starting or many companies looking into it or corporates looking into it. We're still at the point where adoption is an issue. So we need to work on it. And that's also to, DTx could guarantee health equity if you want to. We need to go this direction. But we still need to guarantee access. So governments need to build frameworks to that for that to happen, and also to get a lot of people, and this goes on my way, trained to be able to build the right solutions, and also to bring value, and that is important for patients and the other stakeholders. So, awesome. But there is a great opportunity. I agree with my fellow colleagues. Absolutely.
Thank you, Sandra. Last but not least.
I will focus in the value that DTx should create. I think it's not something in the future, it's not science fiction, it's something that is already happening. But to ensure adoption and spread of DTx, companies need to deliver value very clearly. If not, it's going to be tough if there is alternatives that are easier to adopt and faster, probably cheaper. So value should be there.
Lovely. Sandra, thank you. And thank you all for joining. It's a very broad topic. We are just scratching the surface here. And again, it's still important. It's one step, but every journey starts with a single step and goes one step at a time. I really hope that today's discussion has been inspiring and insightful for many of our audience, also for the ones that are going to have a look at the recording. Gentlemen, Sandra, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. As always, an amazing pleasure having you. Please stick around if you have time, and hope to see you soon and have the ability to co-create together.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of you. It was great.
It was great, really. We enjoyed really. Thank you very much.